In the city of Mecca, nestled in the heart of the Arabian Peninsula, the world was on the cusp of an extraordinary event, one that would change the course of history forever. The desert sands seemed to whisper of something divine, though none knew its true meaning yet. It was the year of the elephant, a time when an army, led by the Abyssinian general Abraha, marched towards Mecca to destroy the Kaaba. But it was not the battle that the heavens had foretold. It was the birth of a child who would rise from the ashes of adversity and lead humanity to a new dawn. In the quiet chambers of Amina bint Wahb's home, a woman of remarkable grace, the signs had already begun. Her vision, as vivid as it was divine, disturbed her sleep one evening. She saw a bright light, so intense that it illuminated the world. In this light, she saw a figure, the figure of a noble man, holding the world in his hands. His presence filled her heart with peace, and an overwhelming sense of joy washed over her. The vision was accompanied by a voice, soft yet commanding. "You will give birth to a boy, Amina. His name is Muhammad, and through him, the light of truth will shine upon the world. He will be a mercy to all mankind." Amina awoke, breathless, with a feeling of profound awe that clung to her like a mantle. It was not the first divine sign she had received, but this one was like none before. The peace in her heart assured her that the world was about to change. Though the signs surrounding the birth of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, were extraordinary, the path ahead was not one of ease. His father, Abdullah, passed away while Amina was still carrying him. The grief that followed was deep and unrelenting. Amina, only a young woman herself, was left to face the uncertainty of life without her beloved husband. Yet, in her grief, there was a sense of serenity, for she knew that her child was destined for greatness. As the months passed, the signs continued. People who encountered Amina during her pregnancy spoke of the extraordinary changes in the air. The skies seemed clearer, the stars shone brighter, and there was an unspoken energy of expectation. Those who came near her felt a calm, a spiritual peace they had never experienced before. Even in her vulnerability, Amina carried within her the promise of something greater than herself. When the time came for Amina to give birth, it was as though the universe itself held its breath. On a night marked by a serene silence, she gave birth to Muhammad, PBUH, the boy who would change the world. His birth was accompanied by miracles that were witnessed by many. The night sky seemed to glow with an otherworldly light, and the earth itself seemed to rejoice. The newborn's first cries were not just the sounds of a baby entering the world. They were the herald of a new era. Amina, though filled with joy and relief, could not help but marvel at the signs surrounding her son. A spark of divine brilliance seemed to emanate from him, and his gentle, calm presence struck everyone who came to see him. The air seemed pure around him, and his eyes, though only days old, sparkled with a wisdom beyond his years. Amina, in her love and devotion, held him close, knowing that her son was destined for greatness, but not fully understanding the extent of what was to come. Though the signs surrounding the birth of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, were extraordinary, the path ahead was not one of ease. His mother, Amina, who had nurtured him with divine care, soon passed away. Her death was a heavy blow, but it only added to the weight of the divine plan unfolding. Muhammad, PBUH, now an orphan before he could even walk, was left to the care of his grandfather, Abdul Muttalib. Abdul Muttalib, a wise and noble man, had long heard of the signs surrounding the birth of his grandson. He was protective and loved the child dearly, but he too felt the weight of destiny hanging over him. It was as though the child, even in his infancy, was touched by something far greater than himself. The entire clan of Banu Hashim recognized the boy as special, but it was Abdul Muttalib who saw beyond the surface. He saw a child of unmatched potential. When Abdul Muttalib passed away, the young Muhammad, PBUH, was placed under the care of his uncle, Abu Talib. Though Abu Talib was not wealthy, his love for his nephew was immeasurable. As Muhammad, PBUH, grew, it became clear to those around him that he was different. He carried an innate wisdom and compassion that touched all who met him. His honesty was unmatched, and his kindness was a beacon in the dark. People began to speak of Muhammad, PBUH, with reverence, not because of his lineage alone, but because of the purity of his character. Even as a young man, he was known for his honesty and integrity. His reputation spread across Mecca as Al-Amin, the trustworthy. People came from far and wide to seek his counsel, and Muhammad, PBUH, never failed to offer sound advice with kindness and wisdom. As Muhammad, PBUH, entered adulthood, he encountered Khadija bint Khuwailid, R.A., a wealthy and respected merchant in Mecca. Despite the difference in their social standing, Khadija, R.A., was struck by Muhammad's, PBUH, character and honesty, having heard much about him from her associates. She was a widow, yet she admired Muhammad's, PBUH, integrity and sought his assistance in a business venture. Their connection grew deeper over time, and soon Khadija, R.A., proposed marriage to Muhammad, PBUH. Their union was one of deep love and mutual respect, and Khadija, R.A., was a strong supporter of Muhammad, PBUH, throughout his life. Little did they know that their marriage would be the foundation upon which the mission of Islam would rise. One night, while Muhammad, PBUH, was meditating in the cave of Hira, a powerful presence enveloped him. He was visited by the angel Gabriel, who commanded him to read, the first of the divine revelations. This moment marked the beginning of Muhammad's, PBUH, prophethood, and it was a moment that would change not only his life, but the fate of humanity. The first revelation was a moment of fear, awe, and confusion for Muhammad, PBUH, who was overwhelmed by the experience. When he returned to Khadija, R.A., his heart racing, she reassured him with wisdom and faith. Khadija, R.A., took him to a Christian cousin, Waraka ibn Naufal, who confirmed that Muhammad, PBUH, had indeed received the call of prophethood. The challenges of spreading the message of Islam began almost immediately. The Quraysh, the powerful tribe that controlled Mecca, rejected the message of Muhammad, PBUH, with hostility. They persecuted him, slandered him, and made life difficult for his followers. But Muhammad, PBUH, was unyielding. His faith in the divine mission was steadfast, and with Khadija, R.A., by his side, he persevered. Despite the trials and the rejection, the faith of the early Muslims grew. Muhammad, PBUH, continued to preach, always patient and kind, even in the face of adversity. His leadership, though met with resistance, began to take root, and the foundation of Islam was laid with every step he took in faith. The persecution reached its peak, but the Muslims, led by Muhammad, PBUH, faced their greatest test in the Battle of Badr. Outnumbered and seemingly outmatched, the Muslims put their trust in Allah. The battle, which many believed would be their downfall, became a turning point in the struggle for Islam. With divine support, the Muslims emerged victorious, and it was clear that Muhammad, PBUH, was not just a leader, but a divinely guided prophet. As Islam spread, tensions with the Quraysh reached new heights. In the midst of this conflict, Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, led his followers to Hudaybiyah, intending to perform Umrah. The negotiations that followed resulted in a treaty with the Quraysh, a moment of political brilliance and patience on the part of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH. The treaty, though seemingly unfavorable to the Muslims at the time, eventually led to greater peace and the spread of Islam. The migration to Medina, known as the Hijrah, was a turning point in the life of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, and his followers. They left their homes, their families, and everything they knew for the sake of their faith. The journey was fraught with challenges, but divine guidance and protection were with them every step of the way. The final chapter in this story saw the triumphant return of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, to Mecca, where he entered the city peacefully with tens of thousands of followers. Despite the years of persecution and hardship, Muhammad, PBUH, showed mercy and forgiveness, embodying the divine qualities he had always preached. The people of Mecca, once his enemies, embraced Islam, and the city that had once rejected him became a beacon of faith. This story, woven with miraculous signs, challenges, triumphs, and divine intervention, follows the life of Prophet Muhammad, PBUH, from his extraordinary birth to his legacy as a leader who changed the world.